Fryer, Marvin Zindler's Action 13, Bob Allen has sports, and the weather with Ed Brandon. Now, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
It was the most unbelievable thing you ever saw. It was just like hell had opened up on the water.
That's an eyewitness describing a fiery explosion on the San Jacinto River. Now the latest catastrophe plaguing the flood-weary Houston area. Good evening, friends.
We're going to have complete coverage of the flood of '94 in just a few minutes.
But our big story tonight, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, along comes another disaster. To the east of Houston, a series of explosions caused by a leaking gasoline pipeline sparked a massive, rapidly spreading fire. This is videotape of pictures from Sky I-13 just a few minutes after the initial explosion before the flames had started the rapid spread down the San Jacinto River. You can see the fire gaining in intensity and starting to spread along the surface of the water. Gasoline from a ruptured underwater pipeline had spread along the flood-swollen river, and a spark somewhere set it all off. Fire spread over to a barge on the left-hand side of your screen, a barge loaded with some sort of flammable material. And right before our eyes, as you will see right here, that barge then erupts into flames. By now, nearby trees and possibly some unoccupied boats and houses were set ablaze, with flames shooting over 200 feet into the air, sending a column of thick black smoke into the sky visible for several miles. All of this occurred just minutes after the initial blast, as emergency crews and firefighters were still getting their first word of the incident. Meanwhile, the fire on the water didn't stop there. Photographer Larry Mullins followed it as it kept spreading up a nearby channel at speeds up to 60 to 80 miles an hour, engulfing everything on either side in roaring flames. Had any people been in this area, either in boats or on land, they would have been incinerated with no chance for escape.
As we showed you, the flames from this inferno moved incredibly fast. It took just seconds for the blaze to spread down the San Jacinto River, devouring everything in its path.
Eyewitness News reporter Wayne Dolcefino was on the scene within minutes of the explosion, and he joins us live from Channel View with the very latest from there. Wayne?
Yeah, David Shera, a young boy on his bicycle, told us he thought the world was ending. From our vantage point, it looked like the world was on fire. You've already seen the pictures. They speak for themselves. Suddenly, the river was engulfed in flames, the fire streaking across the water. A huge but luckily empty barge was caught up in an instant. The world's largest petroleum products pipeline had ruptured right in half, struck, it seems, by a mobile home cut loose by floodwaters on the San Jacinto.
We don't know how much product has escaped, although we will be making an estimate and getting that information to you. Without that information, we don't know how long it'll burn.
Gasoline spewed into the water, and within seconds, the homes along River Road on the edge of White Lake went up too, one by one. The first lawman in the scene could only watch helplessly. The first volunteer fireman from Channel View was simply outmanned by the flames.
A lot of damage, a lot of homes have just been totally destroyed, either by the explosion or by fire. I really got to go.
Willard Ritchie watched his boat and boathouse blow up in front of him.
Right there, 2 houses down and blew up, then blew that away, and blew this, was just boom, 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 boom.
The wall of flame created a thick, bluish-black toxic cloud and incredibly strong fumes. There were fears barges loaded with cyanide downriver would ignite too.
Really not sure. Is the air toxic? Is it flammable? The blue cloud that's across the water, they're saying that could be the vapors from gasoline. And if that's so, of course, needless to say, it will blow.
And as you said, David Shera, about 4 hours after the initial explosion, a second pipeline ruptured, spilling fuel oil, feeding that fire that continues to burn. A gentleman came over just before I came on the air to ask me about his house, which is on River Road. We asked the folks up in Sky to tell us if his home might still be standing. They said there's a 50-50 chance. Several homes, 8 to 9 homes, are totally destroyed. The place to get the best view of the fire and the action today has been up in the helicopter, Sky 13. Let's go upstairs to my colleague, Gina Gaston.
Well, Wayne, the homes that were burning, there is no longer any flames in that area. Also, I'm noticing a lot of oil that has now moved along that area where those homes were situated. If you look now down at the 2 oil slicks that were burning, you're looking at the first and at one point a very large oil slick. This has been the biggest one burning all day. It is still burning, but it is about a quarter of the size that it was at its biggest point. The second oil slick, which was located closer to us where you see the trees, has pretty much disappeared. You're looking at it now. That's where it was. and we don't see big billowing smoke coming out of it anymore. That's a significant change over the past hour. I can only see a little bit of smoke, or I should say flames, traveling southward. That's the way this river is running toward the I-10 freeway here, but a significantly improved situation here. There's some flames beginning to burst up a little bit there. Again, that is where the second leak occurred. The first leak we know was gasoline. The second leak, we're not sure what it was. About an hour ago, Colonial, the company responsible for the first oil line, the first gasoline line, I should say, that ruptured, was out here. So was the Coast Guard out with infrared taking a look at this scene. Neither of them are on the scene right now, but it appears to be much improved. They thought this might burn for hours into the night even, and we're looking at a situation now that looks as though it is only half the situation it was even an hour ago. I'm Gina Gaston reporting live from Sky I-13 about the San Jacinto River.
When the gasoline first ignited, people near the scene had very little time to react. And Eyewitness News reporter Elma Barrera takes a look at some of the close calls near that fire on the river.
Biblical looking. I mean, it looked like hell opened up on the water, and the water was made of gasoline.
Mike Norman was in the thick of it. He lives part-time on the San Jacinto River. He says when he smelled gasoline, he knew everyone was in trouble.
I called 911. I told them they had a problem. They told me they had it under control. There was a team out there working on it, okay?
Only a select few saw what happened on the river net. Witnesses say it was a terrible sight. John Munoz was working on the railroad.
When the house blew up in the south, they about 500 feet away, the house blew up and the fire coming north first, and then went east, south, and it went all the way through, and I just make it up here to there.
It sounded like we threw liquid gas onto a burning fire at first, and then it was a chain reaction, run right straight on down, and I felt the heat on my face, and I backed up in the big cloud of smoke.
Eyewitness Mike Norman said he thought he would lose his